Hello and good morning. You're back with the crew. Thanks so much. We're back on the boat and we got a little early morning rise here. Today I want to tell a story about big financial systems and how they work. And what I think is really important about what I'm going to talk about today is if you own XRP, you should probably watch this video. If you don't own XRP, you definitely need to watch this video. And I need you to put your thinking cap on and take your blinders off just a bit. All right. When I was a very young man, I was probably 21 years old. I believe I was exactly 21 years old. I had the opportunity of what I would call a lifetime, and an investment came along my way through my father-in-law, who's he always had his ear to the ground, checking out for ideas and great things. And God rest Jimmy Ray's soul. He was a good man. He's no longer with us. He was a entrepreneur of sorts, and he could find a good deal. You know, he was one of those guys, and I appreciated his wisdom and learned a lot from the man when I was a very young man. Okay, he had this friend, and this friend, an Asian man, I'm sorry I don't remember which nation he was from, but he was a brilliant man, very intelligent man, and he created one of the originators of the double action pump. He took this double action pump idea to different ways of moving water. And one of the ways we took this thing as an investment, I was an early investor. I believe I invested $1,500, which when you're 21 years old bagging groceries for a living with a wife is a lot of money back in 1981. And it was, I think, everything we had. And we loved the idea so much that we ended up being so blessed, we opened enough doors that we got it actually in MIT, and I think they spent 9 months on it in a wave pool and recreated it and did all this really cool stuff. And essentially it turned into a dome-shaped thing that received waves, and this double action pump would pump water up to a reservoir on shore and turn the water through a turbine and create electricity, virtually pollutant free. And you can imagine in 1981 what an incredible idea all that was. Well, all the people in MIT invested in it. It got to be this really cool and big invention, and we were all so excited and we were doing great things. And this big firm came along and said they were going to help us out, and we had this, you know, 3-piece suit, and the rest of it was all going to help us out. Well, they were corporate to some degree, and we needed a lot of that help. And the next thing we knew, they ended up with 50% of the company, and those 50% of the company had basically pulled the rug on us. When they came in, my investment, I think, went from $1,500 to like $150,000 in value, which a man at 21 years of age in 1981, I'm pretty sure could have bought a new car and a home with that. Okay, that's how big that was, right? And so when they came aboard, we're all so excited and this and that. Well, turns out that they were actually a wolf in sheep's clothing. They were a oil financial group who basically buried us legally in red tape, and it would have cost me thousands of dollars to fight them in court. And they knew it, and they knew who we were, and they knew we were small potatoes, and they ended up burying the whole idea. And it's really kind of a sad story, but that's not what this video is about. What the video is about is when big business or big corporation wants something to succeed, it simply succeeds, and it moves on, and it becomes this incredible thing that all of us take for granted. We all believe that the best ideas and the organic things that come along are what mankind needs next. The best technology just comes right to the top of the ladder, and That's not the way the system and the suits see it. They see it in a manner of, well, this is our big game, this is our chessboard, and you're going to play in our rules. And if those things hurt Harry over here who owns an oil corporation, or these people over here who own that, you're not allowed to succeed unless it profits their chessboard. This is one of the things you have to see a big picture of finance. And over the many years in which you can imagine that having that experience at the age of 21 years old, and then me spending the next 30 years being the captain of people that probably were in that room and they were financial mega power people that I've worked for, and how I picked their brain for the last 30 years of how the whole system works and why it operates the way it does. And with that, I'm going to explain to you why that story is relevant to where we're at right now. See, let's go back and what we know about new ideas that come along. Some of them have to do what I call is fight the war. And some of them get a free pass. Okay? They get a hall pass. I'm not necessarily talking about the Ethereum situation right now. That's not what I'm talking about necessarily, but kind of that's an example of what I'm talking about, but not exactly. I'm more talking about like ChatGPT. That came around because it was built by what I would call the suits in the system, right? They had the blessing of the system when it was built. That's not an organic upwelling of technology, if you will. What I'm talking about, when they squash ideas, when these get to succeed and those don't get to succeed, there is a hierarchy, a pecking order, if you will, that is allowed. And the best ones for mankind, the most organic ones for all of mankind, aren't typically the ones that get to succeed. Think you understand where I'm going with this. But these coins came along and they were going to disrupt banking and the chessboard in a manner in which they didn't want. They didn't understand how they were going to profit. How is it that it's going to cost you virtually no money to send money anywhere in the world, and what's in it for me? What's in it for the suits at that point? There's no profit margin for them there. They're going to lose $7 trillion annually of just transactional fees and fines, and oh, you're a late fee, and oh, your check didn't clear in time, even though you sent the check 3 days ago, or whatever the payment method was, and they claim, oh, it did get there in time, and now you're overdrawn on your account. I mean, when we can move money in seconds, how does that happen? Anyway, not the story I'm going with here. So when you look at that system and the way it's played, you have to come into the system and the battle. Let's go back to the war that I was talking about. The war I'm talking about is first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then you're at war with them, and then they adopt your system for their use case as long as it works for them in a manner in which they can still thrive and control the chessboard. That's step 4. That's the tricky one, and that's the one we're in right now. But if you have this truly amazing technology that all countries can use fairly, such in my opinion is XRP, you run the risk of having people like Mr. Gensler and others come after you, and your coin stays stagnant at 2 for a buck for, I don't know, years now. That it gets pushed to the side and it gets treated like a stepchild. It doesn't get what ChatGPT got. It didn't get what Facebook got. It didn't get what Amazon got. Think about all the .com great, brilliant ideas in 2000 that were just shut down and Amazon thrived. When you look back and then you look back at Amazon now and you say, well, who's behind that? Who's behind Facebook? Why was that allowed to succeed? Why are these allowed and these aren't? You have to be part of the game. If you don't present something to the king and the queen on the chessboard, what are you doing on my board? You're not benefiting me. You're taking from me. You're trying to create a new chessboard over next to mine, and I won't have it. When you've gone through that personally, and you've spent 30 years of your life picking these people's brains about how that chessboard works and how you get in it and how you get out of it, it's clear to me what has happened. Now, how do we go next step? Where do we go from here, Allan? Is probably what you're asking. Isn't it amazing they want $2 billion for virtually nobody got hurt, nobody was affected in a lawsuit of XRP? The only people that kept XRP from going up and us getting well, and all the investors that they claim to be protecting lost money, was the fact that you were suing a company that did nothing wrong. Isn't that interesting? Well, that's the game you have to play when you're the guy who owns the $1,500 invention that was going to change oil usage in nation states that are anywhere on a coast. Think about that. So these guys did that to us all over again 40 years later. And I'm saying, well, how's this one going to end? Well, clearly that battle is ending, because when you look at David Schwartz had an incredible speech. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was really, if you're not into XRP and you haven't seen any of that stuff that came from the Apex, you need to watch it. It's important stuff. It's where we're going. It's not maybe, it's definitely where we're going. But when you hear a man like him who understands people don't like his product and his ideas all the time, when he says something like 97% of all corporations believe that tokenization is going to be profitable for corporations going forward, that tells you that they know where this ball is going, where the game's going to be played on their board. It's like, who's allowed to play on the board, on the chessboard? So glad you asked that question, because that leads me to what I believe is the most brilliant move by any crypto there was out there. I understand that when I first got into crypto, 2016, 17, early 17, that everybody hated XRP because it was the banker's coin. Well, it turns out that wasn't true now, was it? No, it wasn't. Because they didn't allow it to thrive. They didn't bury all the coins around it and just allow XRP to just thrive in the banking system, did it? No, that's the exact opposite of what has happened to XRP, which is exactly why I bring up the point about the credit cards. Back in 17, they disallowed use of credit cards to buy crypto because they knew crypto was a good idea and you could make money on it. When you saw that, when they stopped allowing advertisements on Facebook and Amazon, that told you the writing on the wall that crypto was going to be successful eventually. Well, when they stopped allowing XRP to thrive, it told you what you wanted to see if you're an investor in XRP. Now, what's happening now at the top? What is the most brilliant move? Glad you asked again. They made the escrow the same thing that everybody complained about way long time ago. Oh, it can't be decentralized. There's too many coins out. They've only released half the coins. You know, all these complaints about XRP that have happened over the years directed towards Ripple about the way they managed it. And it is the most brilliant move. Because if you think about all the coins that are out there, they say, oh, okay, this is our game. This is our chessboard. This is our thing. And you can't play on it unless you buy our coins. And you have to get into a competitive market. And you have to buy it on the free market. And you don't have any better privilege or rights or to purchasing as many of those coins as you want. You have to get in line with the public. Well, people that own the big chessboard don't want to get in line with the public now, do they? Trust me, they don't. They want an in. They want a deal. You want to play on our chessboard? You gotta pay the piper, right? You gotta pay us. You gotta tell us why we're gonna allow your coin on our board. That's where the 43 billion coins, in my humble opinion, come into this equation. It was brilliant, whoever thought of that back then, and I'm sure they had this in mind. I don't know, one man's speculation. I've heard many other shows talk about it in different ways, but not the way I'm about to explain it to you. That escrow, in other words, at least 10 billion of those, and maybe 20 billion of those, 40 billion laying around still in escrow, are going to be money to allow to pay the king and the queen who run the chessboard. And I don't mean king and queen literally. I'm talking about getting into the financial game and being a big player on that board. That's a different board, right? And a different game than all the countries who want to interact financially with each other. The BRICS nations comes to mind, but all these countries want to interact fairly without a manipulated system. SWIFT is obviously corrupted. They don't want to trade on that and use that. They want something that we can all honestly understand. And we know it's not a corrupted Facebook coin or a corrupted Amazon coin or some other coin or technology that has this encryption in the back door of it that just says Silicon Valley gets to control it, or the powers that control Silicon Valley. That's why the BRICS nations love it. They've looked into the technology. They're not stupid. They've figured out what if you own XRP and you've done all the homework that you and I have done on this, you've already figured that out. For the rest of you who are sticking around and who don't own that coin, you need to come to the conclusion. You don't need to come to any conclusion. You need to do a whole lot of homework, right? And you need to figure out why I'm saying what I'm saying about this coin is not trust me, it is not lily white. Trust me, you can't be to get on that board. You can't. I'm sorry to, offend a lot of people that own XRP and you think it's the perfect thing and it's, given from God or what. All things are given from God. So let's just start there. But what I'm trying to say is you need to look into this coin, this project, because they're about to kick the board, I don't know, 10 billion, 20 billion. They have 40 billion to say, I want a big seat at this table. We're fair. We're honest. We trade amongst countries evenly. No more of your corruption. No more telling you Russia can't trade oil with this country over here. It has to be fair and open. The XRPL is fair and open. And you have to play in that. If you're willing to do that, here's 10 billion coins. That's not enough? Oh, okay, 15. Now 20. 20 billion to play a fair game for mankind going forward the rest of time. In transactional global accounts. Down. That's my opinion of what's happening. And thank God, somebody had the brains in the very beginning to understand that they were going to need those coins. Because why would the king and queen on that chessboard allow any new technology to come along? Why are they going to let Bitcoin come along and just ruin all their money? How is Bitcoin going to give them money to allow them to play Bitcoin on their board? Bitcoin has to do it in a completely different manner. And that manner is personal adoption, personal sovereignty, and that is a whole different video, okay, which I believe is also a manner in which people are going to save money outside of the board, and it will increase faster because the board likes to inflate currencies. Inflation isn't going to go away because you're using XRP. That's not at all what's about to happen here. What is about to happen is many, not all, many transactions are going to be on that chessboard going forward. That's going to be huge. Again, one man's opinion, just mine. It's from my life experience and talking to many people that are in somewhat of a know how the game is played. And if you don't come to the game, and if you don't have something to offer the game doesn't need you, and it's going to do everything to fight you along the way. And what's happened is they fought them and fought them and fought them until it finally succeeds. All they were trying to do by fight them is gain control of it. Let's not forget what happened to Mr. Reggie Middleton, a wonderful, brilliant man who created an incredible idea. In fact, he has patents in the United States and Japan, and the man created Veritasium, and the system came along and said, no, you're not going to play that fair and honest game with us because we're not going to allow you on the chessboard. In fact, they took, I want to say, of 96 million coins, they took 94 of his coins, and now his coin is no longer relevant in the manner in which it used to be. That's because he didn't have a company, a corporation behind him with the power and the ability to hire lawyers, okay, at the tune of $100 million to fight the SEC. He didn't have that. He had to give the whole thing up. Veritasium would have been an incredible coin for all of mankind, and I really believe it will be some way his system will create that's a different video, but it will create an honest system as well as far as trading money and gold and coins around the world. That is a brilliant man who came up with a great concept. XRP and Ripple is a completely different angle, but let's remember, guys, it doesn't matter what you want or your emotions are about what this planet you want it to be tomorrow. It has to grow in steps. And yes, is it a banking coin? Yes. Is XRP going to be the future of all transactions? No. Is it the coin currently that could make fair and honest style of SWIFT system around the world? Yes, I do believe it is. And if you don't believe so, tell me why down below. And if you don't believe any of the things I just said, tell me down below why you think I'm completely wrong about anything I just said. With that, I hope you guys got something from that concept of it's not going to be everything to all people, but it's going to be big, and it's going to be big in the banking system, and it's stood the test of time, and the little ankle biter, Mr. Gensler, chewing at its leg, and it pulled it off. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And with that, I am out. Yeah, so the other day I'm go to the vet, and my dog has a sticker in its nose that he can't sneeze out. Yeah. $1,000. $1,000. Let's remember, guys, inflation is here. Better get out ahead of it somehow. Assets, my friends. Assets. Love you all.